Yeah, so Benji again. I'm just now going to talk about mental health and philosophy, whatever. So I think Christianity segues nicely into mental health because often if you go to a church, you really might think, oh, these people are crazy, and then just going through life in general, you think, gee, people are crazy. So where you think, gee, that guy's crazy. So when does that become medication time? What's the advantage of medication? So I know from personal experience, some people just get medicated and they are happy with that. That works for them. Like my brother was like that, and he was a very violent person before that. Um, and so he felt that was helping him. And maybe it was, but it doesn't mean that all issues stop there. Just because someone takes their pills, it doesn't work like that. Life goes on, and certain issues remain in place. Any kind of issue you can imagine still would exist even if someone's taking their pills. So I'm just doing a YouTube stream now, Alex. So, yeah, I'm on YouTube now. I don't want to play now. Can you just leave and shut the door because I'm doing a YouTube stream? Thank you. Sorry, I'm just not playing right now because I'm on YouTube. What's your hand? So, um, let's look at some of the issues involved with all of that stuff. So, you often hear people say, "Oh, psychiatrists are predatory." There is definitely some truth to that. Some psychiatrists are probably um, atheists, and so, and people often talk about stigma, but what they really mean is not stigma, it's loss of power. So are you going to surrender your power to someone else? You are. As soon as you say that you've got a mental illness, and you got to be on drugs for it or something, you're surrendering your power to someone else. So you're not taking responsibility for your brain, your mind, your thoughts. You're just saying, "Oh no, I can't control that. I'll just surrender my power." So that's the stigma. That's the real stigma, is surrendering your power. When you lose power to someone else, like if you're a rape victim, that's what we call stigma. It's really a loss of power. So um, let's look at some institutions that are power hungry and they must be in control. There's no question of scrutinizing them. So we have a dictatorship like the Communist Party of China. We have the media in general, and we have psychiatry. Of course, then you can say the police as well. So if you look at any of those institutions, broadly speaking, from any perspective, any way you look at it, any way you turn it upside down or look at it, you're looking at powerful institutions that they're not used to be scrutinized. They're going to scrutinize you. What they say is the truth, even if it's not the truth. Just the fact that they say it becomes the truth. So when you're dealing with powerful entities, you generally it's very hard to win. You cannot win unless you're in with a strong team yourself. Now, I'm with the case of the police. We should all generally trust our police, and have generally have a good feeling towards them, unless we live in a very corrupt society where they're part of the corruption. Like when Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas, I wouldn't, if I was as switched on as I feel I am now, I wouldn't want to trust the police in Arkansas very much. And that's considered to be a first world country, where Arkansas pertains to. Although if you talk to a lot of Americans from kind of modern states like California, they would look down on Arkansas as a backward state. But so yeah, there are other countries too where you wouldn't want to trust the police because they're just like Indonesia. I wouldn't go for a holiday in Bali because to become a police person in Bali, you have to pay a big bribe, like maybe 50,000, 40,000 American dollars, 30,000 American dollars, and then that's an investment because you're going to end up getting kickbacks because you're going to start kidnapping people and calling it detention and extorting, and that happens, and that's what they do. They can kidnap Australian tourists and extort a lot of money out of them. They'll get their money back. They're corrupt, so that you do have that. We don't really have that problem here in New South Wales. We used to have that problem, but we have a fairly, you know, honourable police force here. So I wouldn't encourage people to fear the police generally as a general statement, but in some state cases, yes. Like in Queensland state here in Australia, I'd be a little bit nervous around the cops, you know, in terms of I'd be more likely to believe they'd pull a really a dastardly thing because often the police get involved with organized crime, and then when you get someone corrupted up high, you know, they start moving drugs together with the organized criminals, and then if you go to a psychiatrist, they can say, "Oh, you're paranoid." You know, if you think that way, you're paranoid. So then you get the media. It's just like, well, you know, if you show us the proof, then you're my source, and I'll exploit you. See, there's always these power structures, and it just looks like this, for someone like me, it just looks like when you step up to these big power structures. Like I used to work for a very high level Communist Party operative in when I was living in China. She was my boss, and she was very high up in the Communist Party, and she could have been purged now by Xi Jinping, his purges, you know, because that's how they operate there. They just try to purge their enemies and stay in control. That's how some power structures work, like a dictatorship. So, in terms of psychiatry, the thing to do is just label you. If you said anything that I just said, well, and you can't, you know, deal with that, you know, or I mean, you can just say it to yourself, and that's not crazy, or you can say it on YouTube. But if you were to like, if you feel like that's making you frustrated, that normal sense of frustration from being living in a corrupt society, the psychiatry could easily exploit that to just say, oh, well, that's, you know, mental health disorder. They would come with crap all day long to describe that, you know, like all kinds of nonsense, stress, and a thesis is like you've got a pre-existing condition. But often you'll find there's a very good explanation. I'm sure if you could find the biggest kook out there and get to the nuts and bolts of things, you'd find out, oh, you know, yeah, their husband bashed them up, and you know, their kid treated them like shit, and that's why they're like that. There'll be a reason for it, you know, or they're from this society they're all fascists there or something. There's going to be a reason for it. So, um, yeah. So I'm just jumping around a little bit in a kind of abstract way. Now, clearly in psychiatry, that would be dissociative disorder. Medicate them, get that money. There's plenty of money to be had in medicating people because the pharmaceutical companies make big money and they need drug pushers, uh, you know, to peddle their drugs. So psychiatrists in that respect are glorified drug dealers. Now, I know the police arrest real criminals, you know, a lot of the time, and psychiatrists often deal with real nut jobs. And the Communist Party of China really does lift people out of poverty, you know, and the media often does spotlight some truths, you know, and expose them. But I'm just saying that having admitted that, there's still room to scrutinize these things without being labeled a schizophrenic, you know, or a paranoid schizophrenic. You know, you can analyze things and think about things without being labeled or a criminal, you know, from a police perspective. Like, well, you know, the police could just say, well, you're not from our race, you know, you're Spanish and this is an English country. Fuck off back to your own country, you know, you're criminal. Like that could be how a police person thinks, you know, or communist Chinese could think, well, you know, how would they think? Like, don't put shit on our leaders, you know, or we'll torture you, you know. And I haven't even mentioned criminals, but criminals are another bunch of people um, that. But sometimes, you know, it's going to look to some people like the criminals are the good guys and the police are the bad guys. It just depends on the society. If you're in Brazil and the police are hunting down homeless children and shooting them dead, which happens, it's happened in Brazil many times. Are you going to think the police are real good there? If your best friend's a drug dealer and he's lifting everyone out of poverty, you're probably going to think he's a good guy in Brazil. So just yeah, I'm talking in a very abstract way here. Don't run over in your white coats and label me a disassociative personality. So can society afford to drug everyone up? Okay, so what would happen if, I mean, could we just go into China and just drug everyone up? What could, say I was able to say, okay, say Napoleon, right, had all these, like, mental health drugs he could just foist on everyone that opposed him, the King of England and Wellington and the Tsar of Russia and all these generals and everyone that was against him and his Grande Armée. What if he could just find a way to drug up their water? Would that be a good idea? So yeah, I'm getting very abstract here, but I just know from living in communist China and from dealing with crazy people that people in China are batshit crazy, and they present themselves as normal because once they get out of that crazy society, they feel great. They feel enlivened. I know how they feel because I've been in that situation. And when you're in that kooky society, you can just come out and just go anywhere. It makes you feel emboldened to go to live in America or something, or go somewhere, and you feel full of energy. It's a very enlivening society there in communist China. But I can see how people don't want to live there for too long, because yeah, it probably could wear them down. And those are the people that are not being oppressed by the government. So the people that are being oppressed by the government because, like, someone complained against the government or something, they start getting oppressed. Like, they're not actually there. They might be paranoid for a reason. Like, they might actually have, like, communist Chinese agents sitting in the car across the road just watching them all the time. That's called being paranoid for a reason. Like, how do you think druggies stay out of jail, or drug dealers? It's because they're paranoid. Are they going to go to a doctor and say, "Oh, I'm paranoid. Like, the police are watching me because I'm a drug dealer, and I'm pretty sure they're watching me because I can see them watching me." Like, so yeah. I guess I'm just rambling, but I mean, I just wonder, like, what's the good of modern psychiatry? Like, say you've got an earworm, right, and you can't get a song out of your head, or um, you know, instead of an earworm, it's just like a persistent thought that you just cannot get it out of your head, and it's just taken over. And it's just like, and I've been having this problem lately. Like, it's just like, what the hell? It's with my job too. My job involves, like, I'm driving all the time, so my brain is just locked into this certain kind of focus. Like, it's a laser focus. You cannot take your eyes off the road for 2 seconds. You could have an accident. Safety's king. Safety comes first. My safety record's unmatched. It's just like impeccable. So, and that's not delusions of grandeur. I've been driving for the last 10 years. No one got hurt. That's impeccable. I'm not saying it's unmatched, like literally unmatched, like delusions of grandeur. Grandeur. If you're watching from psychiatric firm and you think, oh, can we peddle drugs on this person? Let's deal some drugs. Let's find someone. No, forget about it. I don't want it for that. So, yeah, but yeah, it's a sad world we live in. It's just, I think of those, yeah, people trying to enslave other people. That's happening a lot. People trying to exploit other people and enslave them. Yeah, it's tough. Does the truth set people free? It probably does, but you know, I'm not sure how exactly, because someone's truth could be that their dad's just beating the shit out of them. That is their truth, and they're exposed to that every day, and does that set them free? I don't know, so I'm just having a bit of a ramble. Yeah. So talking about, power structures that don't want to be scrutinized. The universities are there, as along with the media, they work hand in glove. And there you have a classic case of, you cannot. It's not like research and science. Science at universities, you want to scrutinize, you want to have a peer review, okay? But universities in general, um, and even societies in general, they don't want to be scrutinized. Like, you're not going to have one country in France say, "Oh, now on the news, we're going to look at what Germans think of us. No, they don't want to know about it. If you think the media's full of shit, you can't tell them, oh, you're clearly full of shit. You're just like here in Australia, we just have these ridiculous Anglo kind of pseudo Anglo supremacists, and just want to talk about the royal family all day. And it's just so like lame. It's like, yeah. So, um, is there a platform to give them some feedback? So yeah, I mean, you just get people that just get, I mean, institutions that just get stuck in this kind of cycle of, you know, they want to be the way they want to be, and they're just on the wrong track, or they're just kind of oppressive. Like I know it sounds crazy to say university is oppressive, but it's getting to the point now where if you don't bow down and worship the atheist, non-existing god of, you know, gay rights and transgender rights, and you got to, you got to be a child abuser in the sense that you got to teach your kid to be transgender. Otherwise, you're wrong. I mean, you can rub all these left wing nut jobs at the university the wrong way. I got kicked out, and it's like I mean, I could have went to another university, but it's still disruptive, because you end up in debt, and it's like it's a stain on your reputation, and it's just I mean, you know, it's the same. I just see the same. I just see like so many institutions are just like um they're looking to just cut people down, and I find that more so in an insecure society like Australia. I find Australian society very mentally insecure because I think a lot of people here are struggling mentally. Um, in Europe, it's more like they're so sure of their own cultures in Europe, and they have so much history. They're like 2,000 years of history. They're very established, very entrenched. So they have the opposite problem. It's not that they are insecure and kind of faking it till they make it kind of thing. Like in Australia, it's more like they're just, or in Australia, there's just a lack of culture. There's just the history's bleak, so it's just, or it's boring. So just don't bother learning it. Just like don't learn your own history. Don't even know. In Europe, it doesn't not like that. In Europe, each country is supposed to study like their 2,000 years of history, and they're all so morbidly proud of their history. It's the opposite thing in Europe. So you could still have the same kind of social oppression issues or psychiatric disorders or whatever the victims of crime, whatever paradigm we're looking at, victims of the Communist Party, victims of oppression, or soft depression, victims of soft depression. It's like you're a fish in the ocean, and you're just a little tiny fish, and you better keep away from the big fish because they will eat you. That's what I'm talking about. You get eaten by the big fish. You have to stay safe. So if you have a mental problem, it's very hard because there's only like three drugs on the market, and they're all very serious drugs. They will rewire your brain, and they won't let you do certain things normally. Like if you're a driver, you might not be allowed to drive anymore if you take them. If you like to have sex or you want to reproduce, you might not be able to do that after you take these drugs. So they'll change your life forever. And a lot of psychiatrists, they don't have a conscience when it comes to drugging people up. They really, a lot of them are just really bad people. They just want to get rich off someone else's misery. They don't care about like the problems that the patients' families are facing. And they never try to interface with the patients' families or anything. You don't even see them. Yeah, it's ugly, So I mean, that's one reason I wouldn't want to be a cop. Is I just hate the idea of especially in a country like Australia where they don't know what they're doing half the time. They always they do this kind of what do you call it? Where you really goof up. You make a massive goof, uh, klutz or something like bungle. They're always bungling everything here. They're bunglers. The Australians are bunglers. So I wouldn't want to be a bungling cop here, and I've got to go to someone's house and put a mental health hold on them and drag them against their will to psychiatric ward. That's horrible, or people protest, because the government says we're going to knock your house down and build this freeway. And it's very questionable legality of taking their house in the first place. I wouldn't want to be a cop for that reason, but I mean, for those are the two main reasons I would want to be a cop right there. Plus, I wouldn't want to get involved in people's mental health issues and depression issues and you know marital problems and stuff all the time. What a nightmare! No wonder they're all they've done studies and they find that emergency workers are more likely to have um, suicidal ideation where they've actually planned out their own suicide. I mean, who can blame them? They're doing a Herculean task. I don't deny it. So I feel for them on that level. But yeah, in terms of psychiatrists, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they do some good. But it's just, yeah, again, it's like looking at the Communist Party of China. Did you do some good, but what's the price? Stalin did a lot of good. You talk to a lot of people in Russia, and they're like, oh, yeah, strong leadership, industrialize the whole country. But what's the price? You got to look at the whole picture. So media organizations, you can't scrutinize them. Unless you're another media organization, there's no way. They don't want to be scrutinized. They don't want to be told if they did something wrong or what their bias is. They don't want to know. It's like they're just going to keep trafficking these idolatrous people that people are practicing the worst kind of idolatry. And it's rare that any of these people ever get scrutinized. We had it with Harvey Weinstein got scrutinized. That's very rare, very rare. So normally a big producer or director like that just acts with impunity, has a lot of power, same as those other institutions I mentioned, including crime, organized crime. So yeah, that was the theme of today's talk was um, powerful institutions and how they represent like big fish in the ocean, and you're just a little guy out there, little fish, and you got to watch out for them, because you could end up with getting kicked out of university just because you because you're not gay. You believe you should have the same rights as a gay person to make a film about that treats on sexual themes or something, but you're not gay, you're presenting everything heterosexual. That happened to me, and it's like, oh, my films were, I was delusional according to the staff, but if the gay guy does it, he's gay. So it's like, how can a gay person be delusional? You must be a homophobe to say that. That's how left-wing people think. So it's just it's oppressive. The left-wing university is definitely oppressive. um, the police shouldn't be oppressive, but depends on what's going on in the whole crime, because we often see around the world police get into bed with organized crime, so then they can become oppressive. Criminals are often oppressive. If you're in a military dictatorship, the military will be oppressive. Just look at Venezuela right now, or look at China. Psychiatry, is it oppressive? Well, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, definitely. I think, and they're these organizations that just act with impunity. They're expected. They just do their own thing. They're like a beast in the wild, and they don't have to be really held up to any account by outside agency, and they can just do whatever. So you can just drug anyone up if you're a psychiatrist. Yeah, drug him up. The guy broke up with his girlfriend, drug him up. Like, I could never be a psychiatrist for that reason. Why would I want to completely mess with someone's brain chemistry, cause massive ripple effects when they're just, broke up with their girlfriend? They're all scattered and feeling bad about it. Well, why am I going to manipulate that into, oh yeah, genetic schizophrenia? Drug them up. Well, why would you do that? Just greed. You just want to make money. That's why and these are people with false belief systems. They don't believe in any kind of God. They don't even believe in the fake God of the Christians. That's gets he's one of his uh, creatures pregnant and then gets born from her and then has a son mother relationship with her and then gets killed. That's the fake Christian God. They don't even believe in that. They just don't believe in God. Most of these psychiatrists are atheists. They don't believe in any God. So they don't think that there's order in the universe. If there's order, it's because they put it there with their drugs. So yeah, I mean, we live in you're in an ocean with you're about to eat a lot of plastic in it, but there's all these big fish that can still eat you. So those are some of the really potentially dangerous institutions out there that even if they're not going to come to you directly, they're going to eventually they're going to mess your life up because they're going to drug up your mom and she's going to give away her inheritance money from her mom that worked her ass off for it because she's drugged up and dopey. And the psychiatrists are not going to take any legal responsibility for that. They've got their money. They're happy. They can't challenge them in court. And you're left there. You got no inheritance because your mom's given that happened to me. So you can't do anything about it. There goes your money, that your grandma worked her ass off for. Your mom gets drugged up and she's angry with everyone and she's all drugged up, can't make a good choice, and boom, goodbye inheritance. See, you're gonna get shafted, so. And as a traveler around the world, those are the things I'm watching out for. Organized crime. Are the police going to make any trouble for me? Um, it's not just the psychiatry per se, it's the attitudes of the people, because a lot of people are scared of mental illness. They're scared that they're crazy. So the best way, if you're scared that you're crazy, if you're not sure what you believe in, which is the situation a lot of people face, is scapegoat that guy over there. And then you look crystal clear, clean, because you're not crazy, they're crazy, and you're pointing out to everyone they're crazy. That's been happening to me a lot lately. I've been dealing with people at my job, and they're just like, you know, yeah, well, you must be mentally ill. It's like, no, no, I mustn't. I mustn't be mentally ill. You're, you're very mistaken. So, but what else can I do? Because they're obviously experiencing a mental health problem, you know, and they can, instead of just making a logical point using logic, it's like, and that's happens here a lot in Australia because you just have this kind of rickety um, thinking, when you turn on the media here, which is like they're meant to be the glue, we're meant to have these intellectuals here at the universities or something that with the media together, they make a kind of intellectual glue. What you're seeing here in Australia is it's appalling, just appalling. I mean, just it's like Iceland, the way I imagine Iceland with its high suicide rate, because they're so isolated over there. They feel very isolated, and then the lack of sunlight in the wintertime, just call a spade a spade. Like if those are the issues in Iceland, let's just say those are the issues. Then why do we have to come up with all this bullshit? Because people come up with bullshit because they're scared to be labeled mentally incompetent, which is going to be a big thing in the future, especially if we have these viruses shutting society down. Um, yeah, so anyway, that's all I want to talk about for now. I've had my little rant and rave. I'm just going to end that and say that and have a rant some other time.